Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. This is a melody of longing, of wanting something more. And we're going to return to this melody later in the service, because this melody that you may be familiar with is actually one of deep, deep sorrow and deep longing. But for now, let's just sing it together. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to be with you. You may be wondering why, Cantor Rosenberg, did you start with something that's about longing and sorrow as we're moving into Shabbat? Here in this part of the Jewish calendar, we've just entered into the month of Av. And when we enter into the month of Av, we actually begin to move into a period of collective mourning as a Jewish people. Mourning not like the sun comes up, mourning like sad. And in this time, especially in these first couple of days of Av, leading up to Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which will begin this Wednesday night, we're in this state where we're looking back. We're looking back on Jewish history and different times that have been sad, difficult. And especially looking back to Jerusalem and thinking of the temples that historically we remember on Tisha B'Av. And on Tisha B'Av, we think about Sinat Chinam, about senseless hatred and the role that it played in tragedies past and present. But as we enter into Shabbat, keeping a little bit of that mood in the month of Av, we also get to draw on the opposite of Sinat Chinam. We draw on Ahavat Chinam, on love freely given. And so as we enter into this Shabbat, we get to pull a little bit on that feeling of Ahavat Chinam. We get to draw on it, we get to give it back. And so we get to lift that spirit just a little bit with our voices together, with our presence together. So here in the room, let's take a moment just to greet each other, to say hello, to wish that Shabbat Shalom, that extra bit of love. On Zoom, pick a box to wave to, and someone's waving back at you. Take just a moment. If we have any young people in the sanctuary want to give tzedakah. Come on up, Xander. Nice job. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Do you want to help us give some tzedakah? Go for it. Tzedakah. It's lovely to meet you. Beautiful.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 do. Yiddy dai dai do. Yiddy dai dai yo. Yiddi-di-di-ho. Yiddi-di-di-di-ho. Yiddi-di-di-ho. Yiddi-di-di-ho.
And we turn to welcoming Shabbat in with light that symbolizes some of that love and peace of Shabbat. And as we open our Siddurim to pages 120 and 121 for the lighting of candles, we'll begin with a reading on 121 and to light our candles.
And I want to invite, so Alyssa Berkston is participating in services tonight, and I want to invite her and as many of her family are comfortable to come forward to light candles. We're mourning this week the loss of Alyssa's 108-year-old great-grandfather, Stacy's grandfather. So we remember him as we bring in Shabbat light. If you'd take the honor, you and your brother, of lighting our candles.
As we light the candles, we can read together on 121. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליקנה של שבת.
We turn to page 128 to Yedid Nefesh in the middle of the page, this poem, this piyut.
Yedid nefesh av harachaman, Yedid nefesh av harachaman, Mishoch avdecha, eretzonecha, eretzoch avdecha, Yai lai 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 el retzonecha Yarutz avdecha kemo hayar Yishtachave yai lai lai yai lai 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 El mul hadarecha Yarutz avdecha Yarutz avdecha Kemo hayar Yishtachave yai rai rai yai rai 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 El mul hadarecha.
Enter in peace, bless us in peace, O angels of Shabbat, page 142. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashareh, Malachei Elyon, Yimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We continue on page 138 as we greet the Shabbat presence with Lecha Dodi.
And Alyssa will be joining me as the voices gather all together in the sanctuary. It is so lovely to lift up just a few this summer. And Alyssa, it's a blessing to have you lead with us tonight. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, Leshem ultiferet velitila, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekabela.
Likrat Shabbat lechuven alcha, ki mekor habaracha merosh mikadem, nesucha sof ma'aseh,
במחשבה תחילה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבל. Verse 5.
Hitoreri, ki va'orech, kumi ori, shir daberi kvod Adonai, alayich nigra lecha dodi, likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavel. Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai,
We rise and face the entrance as we welcome Shabbat into our week.
בשלום, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, הולך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing as we turn to face the ark for Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
We respond in one voice. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. We can find our seats as we turn to page 148, our prayer for creation, Ma'ariv Aravim. We'll begin with our own whispered words, loud enough for you to hear yourself, quiet enough that we don't disturb our neighbors, and then we'll join together towards the middle of the page.
Centering on the words or mipnei choshech, light into dark, dark into light.
Or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or. Or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or. El chai v'kayam, tamid noch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim.
We continue in love on page 150.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta. Ahavat olam, אהבת עולם. בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו קומנו נשיח בחוקיך ואת ודברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. Let's fill the room with just our voices. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We turn to page 158. Sometimes Mi Chamocha is a song of victory, and sometimes Mi Chamocha is a song of memory. Let's remember together. Yai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai 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 dai. Mi Chamocha, page 158.
mi chamocha Pailim Adonai mi kamocha netar b'kodesh nora tehillah oseh feleh nora tehillah oseh feleh malchutecha ra'uf anecha bokeyayam lifnei Moshe umi. We repeat together. Nora tehillah oseh feleh Nora tehillah oseh feleh ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ונאמר כי פרעתי יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We leave the past week behind. As we do so, we breathe in the possibility of this Shabbat. In this next prayer, Hashkivenu, we imagine that God is spreading a shelter of peace over us. So as we join together on page 162, on 162, we'll join together in spreading the shelter of peace over our community.
I believe we're going to gather together on page 160. Text that's familiar, a melody that might reminisce of camp. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
We look back on this week that has passed, and we lift up the moments of joy, the moments of gratitude, and use them to build our words of praise. As we turn to the Tefillah on page 164, we rise in body or in spirit. For those on Zoom, the chat is open for you to share your moments of gratitude, to add to our words of praise, both those in the book and those in our hearts. Page 164.
And let's bring one more voice up. Surprise, surprise. Come on this side. This is a chorus of all voices together. Hannah, thank you for being with us.
Adonai sifatai tifta ufi yagid tehilatecha Adonai sifatai tifta Yagid tehilatecha Open up our lips so we may praise your name. Open up our hearts so we may feel our pain. Open up our souls and let our love make us whole. We will praise. We will praise your name, Adonai. Sifatai tifta. Yagid tehilatecha Adonai sifatai tifta Ufi yagid tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon, Kom Melech Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Le'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rab lehoshia. Morid hatar, Mechalkel chayim bechesed. מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומדומלה מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue with our own personal meditations inspired by the pages of the prayer book or by what is written in our own hearts.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai. I told you this melody would return, and here it is. On the back of your flyers. If you got one, great, you can turn it around. If not, you'll hear these words a lot and they'll come to you carefully. You'll see the words Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. If I forget you, Jerusalem, if you leave my thoughts for just a moment, it's as if my right hand, which was thought of as the strong hand, would suddenly wither and disappear. So this text, which comes from Psalm 137, reminds us that Yerushalayim, both the real city and Yerushalayim, the city of peace, that Zion, what we're longing for, is there. And we need to remember it. So let's not eshkachech, let's not forget. And I invite you to try these new-ish words with me, with a melody you might remember. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. See, it fits like a glove. Try that again. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. Whatever the city of peace is for you, if it's really Jerusalem, hold that close. If it's somewhere else that's shalayim for you, that's peaceful, hold that close. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini. Just the voices. Im eshkachech Yerushalayim Tishkach Yemini.
We offer a prayer that on Shabbat everyone have the opportunity to feel that sense of dwelling in a city of peace. And so as we think of those in our lives who are in need of healing, of mind, of body, or of spirit, those who need a Misha Berach this week, I'll invite you to rise here in the sanctuary if you are thinking of someone on Zoom to write their name in the chat so we may hold them in our prayers together this week.
President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, and his his wife, the former First Lady of the United States, Rosalind Carter, diagnosed with dementia. As we say in Hebrew, Yesh Kolach L'Kolach. May President and Mrs. Carter go from strength to strength.
All of them in our hearts as we turn to page 371 for the words of Misha Berach, our prayer for healing.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikol HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I neglected earlier to add the name of Craig Weiner, who I know is watching. So in community, we are with each other in times of difficulty, and we celebrate with each other in times of joy. So if there's anyone who's having a Shehechianu moment in this week to lift up a birthday, an anniversary on Zoom, please write it in the chat here in the room. Raise your hand. Birthdays, anniversaries, big milestones this week.
We recently had our 42nd.
42nd Mazal Tov. Beautiful. Birthdays and anniversaries, beautiful. And so we hold all of those, that beautiful moment, those left unsaid, those in the chat box on Zoom. We join together. The words of Shehechianu are on page 648.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Let's say Amen all together.
Children are not here this evening, so on the way out the door they said, tell everyone that we're going to camp tomorrow. So Shehechianu moment for all of those who are going off to overnight camp for the first time. May it be a meaningful time for you and for us as well. So a few words of Torah. My loved ones joke that I might be the most conflict avoidant and conflict averse person that they know. The truth is that many of us have trouble navigating a tense situation that needs to be resolved with another person. We feel really nervous when we need to share constructive criticism or feedback with someone else. Out of fear of hurting others' feelings, we might keep that feedback to ourselves. Or if we don't let ourselves calm down, we might deliver the criticism too harshly. It's really hard to deliver such words effectively, and even harder to receive them. If you're with me and this topic tends to give you the jitters, I apologize in advance for what might be the most unpopular sermon of the year. But our tradition makes it clear that offering what is called tochacha, rebuke, is actually a mitzvah. It's a commandment. It is counted as one of the 613, straight from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19:17. We hear, Hocheach tochiach et amitecha, rebuke your kin, and incur no guilt while doing so. For classic commentator Nachmanides, this means if you do not rebuke, then you yourself will also incur the guilt of the wrongdoing. And Proverbs supports this. One who reproves a person will in the end find more favor than one who speaks with a split tongue, speaking deceptively or perhaps skirting around the issue. Some sages even go as far as to say that you can't have a loving relationship without rebuke. The Shabbat, this week in the Jewish calendar, is exactly when we are supposed to think about this skill and this imperative. In fact, all of our texts recited this week are filled with tochacha, starting with the Torah portion that we read, the first portion of the last book of Torah, Deuteronomy, or Devarim. Devarim is devoted to Moses' farewell address to the Israelite people before his death and their entry into the Promised Land. You might think that Moses, like one might want to do before they die, recalls all the wonderful memories he has with the people, the accomplishments they share together. But no, what Moses shares in this week is entirely rebuke. Moses recounts what the Israelites have done wrong, reminding them of the consequences that they have endured. They behaved badly when they asked to die in the desert, not appreciating their freedom, when they worship false gods, when they rebel against God's orders, when they complain about the bountiful manna, when Korach's faction rises in opposition, and when they build and worship the golden calf. Moses cuts straight to the point in this rebuke, describing the Israelites' missteps and where they have gone astray. Certainly, there is much room for nuance here. For the Israelites to argue there might have been a reason in the moment why they may have made a certain choice, why they are feeling lost or forsaken or lonely. But the truth is, there is certainly room for improvement too. Our tradition commands us not just to face head-on the calamities that have befallen us, but also our role in them. We aren't just a people who remembers the good and celebrates the victories. No, there are set times when we are commanded to face our shortcomings. As we heard from Rabbi Harper at the beginning of services, last week we began the month of Av, the first day of the month that ushers in a period of mourning and serious reflection for our people. And Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of Av, begins on Wednesday night, and it is the saddest day on the Jewish calendar, marking the destruction of our two holy temples and the great tragedies that have befallen our people. Throughout the centuries in these days of Av, the Jewish people have mourned, wept, chanted lamentations, fasted, asked why, cried out in rage, and even opened themselves up to an unsettling form of communication. You guessed it, tochacha, rebuke. So why is rebuke such a Jewish thing? As you have heard, when we retell the tragedies that befall the Jewish people in ancient times, we do so while claiming some responsibility. Our rabbis tell us the temples fall because we as a people baselessly hated one another. Rather than solely being the victim or placing the blame on someone else, our people realize that they also have a choice, an agency at that moment. If we mess up, then maybe we can make up for it or do better next time. Of course, some things in the universe simply will not change regardless of our behavior. But where we can take responsibility for our contributions, we can learn and grow. And where we can learn and grow, we can better thrive. This is why tochacha is a deeply important spiritual practice. It involves highlighting where someone might have gone wrong in order for them to do better. Tochacha is supposed to lead to teshuvah, return, or repentance. In order for us to return, we must first acknowledge that we are lost. In order to improve, we must admit that there is room for improvement. Tochacha is like holding up a mirror, providing an irrefutable reflection of ourselves. Rebuke gives us a mirror into ourselves and our faults. True tochacha does not put someone down, but rather helps someone rise up even higher than they were before. So this is why our tradition looks upon tochacha with such high regard. It is a spiritual practice we should continually hone. But we know it is not easy. Most of us are naturally defensive, whether we admit it or not. It's not our favorite thing to face our vulnerabilities and our insecurities, to be corrected, to be reminded that we have missed the mark. And so the one who offers rebuke needs to remember that it will be hard for the other person to hear, and that it's a mitzvah to help them reach their full potential. Rashi says that we should make sure not to embarrass or shame a person when offering rebuke. Literally, we should not make their face grow pale. And I will add that the time and the place for rebuke is important too. Reb Nachman explains that to offer effective rebuke, one has to adopt a certain voice. He calls it the voice that waters the Garden of Eden. The most important quality, I think, of this life-giving voice is compassion. As Jewish educator and psychotherapist Estelle Frankel writes, this means speaking with humility, empathy, mindfulness, courage, and non-defensiveness. How amazing that the commandment that follows the mitzvah of rebuke in Leviticus, the next commandment, is to love your neighbor as yourself. We have to think about how we would want to receive this rebuke ourselves. The Talmud Bava Metzia further explains from the use of the compound word that we heard in the mitzvah, hocheach, tochiach, the sages understand that we must rebuke more than one time, even 100 times, they say. This isn't to metaphorically hit the hammer over the head with our point over and over again, but rather to take as much time, as many words as we might need to share rebuke compassionately. It may not be wise to tell someone bluntly how wrong their actions are. Rather, it might take many smaller ways for that person to be able to hear what we have to say. This is compassionate, even though we might be perfectly capable of being blunt and direct. Moses exercises this compassion when he offers rebuke to the people. Instead of going into detail of every sin, Moses mentions the places in which the sins take place. By placing so much emphasis on the place, not only what they did there, Moses acknowledges that other factors go into their wrongdoing. The desert is an extreme environment. The people fall short not only because they are rebellious and short-tempered, but because it's a harsh spiritual environment to be their best selves. Moses also admits his own wrongdoing. Finally, the Or HaChaim stresses that it is important to have the right attitude when giving rebuke. If your intention is to set the other person straight because what they have done is bothering you, the Or HaChaim says your rebuke will fail. The rebuke has to be for the sake of their own improvement. We should also not assume, he says, that what another person has done was in order to spite us. They're speaking to us on so many levels, are they not? We're all guilty of this. So much of the rebuke, criticism, and hate speech that is swirling around us right now is destroying our world. Rather, rebuke given with love in the context of deep relationship has the capacity to build new worlds. What if we, like Moses, made sure our critiques are offered only in the context of love and trust? I'd like to end with one final midrash from Devarim Rabbah, which examines the opening of the book of Deuteronomy. The words, Ele Devarim, these are the words. The midrash sees these words not as much as a rebuke, but as a vision of the Israelites at their best. Instead of reading Devarim, the midrash reads Devorim, bees, like bumblebees. Rebuke may sting, but its purpose is to create sweetness. Bees do not want to sting, but their existence makes it possible for new fruits to grow. May we be the bees of compassionate rebuke in this world, through the thoughtful giving and receiving of tochacha and the mindful practice of caring communication. May we build the world that we hope to see. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will.
So I'll invite you to take out your Sidurim and turn to page 651. On page 651, it should be almost to the end, you'll see a classic Israeli song, Al Kol Ele. And unfortunately, there may be one or two more Israelis who have entered the room and may be correcting my pronunciation after this. But I want to invite you to look at the very bottom and look at the translation for those that may not be familiar. In our discussion this morning, it took this sermon for me to realize how powerful this message really is. That you say, my good God, keep thee safe, the honey and the sting, the bitter and the sweet. We go to the chorus, keep all of these safe, the bitter, the sweet, the honey, the sting. Do not forget the hope. And so I invite you, as we gather together in song and sing this together, I invite you to realize that although this song sounds hopeful and perhaps a little happy, that without the sting, there can't be the sweetness. Page 651, I invite you to join with me, Al Kol Ele. Al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al bitenu hanitoket shmor Eli hatok. Al ha'esh ha'mevo'eret, al ha'mayim hazakim, al ha'ish hashav habayta min ha'merchakim, al kol hele, shmor nali Eli haton, al hadvash ve'al ha'oketz, al hamar ve'hamatok, al nata kor natua, al tishkach et hatikva,
השיבני ואשובה אל הארץ הטובה.
With the sweet and the bitter, the honey and the sting, I invite you to turn to page 586 as we rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא שם חלקנו כרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Let's be seated for a brief moment as we remember those who are no longer with us, those who we have lost in this season in years past, whose yahrzeits or anniversaries we honor this evening, our relatives who we have lost in the last 30 days, and our parents in the last year. If you are in one of these periods of mourning or have someone you are thinking of this evening, we invite you to rise. Please share the name of your loved one as well as their relationship to you. Those of you on Zoom, our chat will be open for you to remember who you are thinking of as well. Did we miss anyone? We remember our community members who have died in the last 30 days: Stephen Abate, James Adelson, Barbara Lazar, Nathan Price, Harriet Charno Robbins, Gerald Shapiro, Linda Wiggensberg, Cedric Weiss, Jonathan Weiss, and Robert Zalosh. We have been asked to read the yahrzeits of S. David Goldberg, Shirley Lerner, Eugene Rosenberg, and Louise Schramm Kaplan. There's one more, and Harold Wolfers as well. So let us rise in support of our mourners as we turn to page 598 to recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach cherutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayachon uvyomechon u'v'chaye decho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'mei amaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shalom Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we can say, Amen.
Amen.
So this week we will gather on Wednesday evening to observe Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. We will be gathering at 7:30 online to recite words of Eicha, words of poetry, a little bit of study together. On a more upbeat note, an opportunity to get to know Rabbi Rosen a little bit better on August 1st. That's a Tuesday evening at 7. That's a hybrid opportunity, and we'll ask you to mark your calendars for the middle of August, the 14th to the 17th. We are offering an intensive on prayer, focusing on this very Friday night service. An incredible opportunity to learn together and to have dinner. So we hope you'll join us.
Free dinner. Come
Free
on.
dinner. Enjoy. So this and many more things, we're grateful to the family of Bud Rose sponsoring our Summer Institute, and everything else is in the eBlessed. So let's gather with some words of Kiddush.
Just want to say thank you to all of those of you who have gathered on Zoom this evening. You cannot see them, but we have some new friends in our technology booth this evening. They're actually not new to us, but they're from Immer. They're our High Holy Day crew, actually, which is giving me a bit of the heebie-jeebies, even though we're so happy to see you. So thanks to those of you on Zoom who were flexible with a little bit of a different format this evening. It's great to see all of you. I can see you from my computer up here at the front. So let's join together with all of you holding a Kiddush cup at home. And Cantor Josh is going to be our bar mitzvah.
All right.
This
here
We're
we
on
go.
123.
Is it juice? We'll find out. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים. בשבת קודשך, באהבה ורצון, הנחלתנו.
Raise it nice and high.
ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Is it just juice?
It's always juice.
If I could highlight, it looks like Bud Schramm is holding a sippy cup. Are you visiting Weston? Yes. I see you.
And
All right.
before we get to Mosi, I
Yes.
just want to say thank you to our musical leaders tonight, Hannah Scholl and to Alyssa Berkson. Thank you so much. And Elisheva, Liz, thank you so much as always.
And I will say before we say motzi that there is a really nice oneg this evening. Thank you, Susan Karen. We want to let you know that if you would like to sponsor an oneg this year, it is possible to do so, to share our Shabbat joy. Let me know if you'd like to do so. Let Susan know, and we will make sure that you are honored. Julie, would you like to help us this evening? All right. Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
המוציא לחם מן הארץ בתאוות.
You get a piece for yourself and Lorelei. Take a bite, complete the mitzvah, and we wish you all Shabbat,
Shabbat Shalom.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai.
Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, hide, hide. Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, 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 hide. Yide, hide, hide, hide. Hello. Wait, let me turn off my mic and say hello. Ah.